Thank you so much for staying tuned in to Millennium TV, your first business and financial news channel. I'm your host, Constance Mwazinamwenga, and this is The Transition. At the moment, though, we are on the closing bell, and we will be talking to Mr. Kapwila Shachile. He is our financial analyst, and today we'll be talking about the impact of Biden's victory on Africa. Thank you so much for coming through. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. Biden, or rather Trump, has now given the permission to even start the formal transition. What does that mean for Africa now that Biden is the president-elect?
Well, thank you very much once more. America, it's well positioned and it brings a lot of interest to a lot of people around the world. If you just look at economically, the quarter of the world's GDP is produced in America. And from there you would understand why the interest, not only in Zambia, but everywhere in Africa. Biden is a Democrat, and Trump, the one who's leaving office, is a Republican. And from there, I think the starting point is always what policies do Republicans or Democrats want to pursue. I think we have to look at the priorities which he's faced with. Number one, of course, we've got the pandemic, the coronavirus. That's the number one thing, and if we didn't know better, I would say that's the reason why Biden, managed to win the elections, because of how America has suffered with the pandemic, with a lot of deaths, which is unfortunate, really. Economically, America was doing fine before the pandemic, so Trump had the upper hand economically. And it was to that effect, I think you would say America needs some work economically on their own, and Biden must do something about it. So before they even stretch out or walk out of the doors and try to help us in Zambia and Africa, they have to do the cleanup in their own economy. And basically, I think that's where we stand. Yes, Biden might come out and help out here and there. Of course, we'll discuss later in the program. But in as regards it being a priority, like in the next 6 months or so, I don't think Africa or Zambia is nearby as being a priority, really.
What do you think will be his first step, or what would be his priority in Africa?
All right. Before I get straight into Africa, I'll just generally maybe point out at three areas where you would really look at when it comes into power. Biden is coming into power on the 20th. I think that's when the inauguration happened. And like you had earlier mentioned, the go-ahead has been given to do the handovers. What the handovers mean is that you have access to information, the important things to run the country economically, the military intelligence and stuff like that. So from there, I think you can draw your own conclusions of what should you tackle. Like we've mentioned, but the pandemic is number one. So everybody's thinking Biden should first and foremost turn around most of the things that Trump did. Number one, I think when he comes into power, the first thing before, in terms on an international scale, he will look at joining the Paris Club climate committee. If you remember, Trump never believed that there would be an issue with climate, and he actually disinvested in that. So that would be one of the things you see Biden do, join the Paris Club for climate change. Number two, I think there was that thing where America stepped out of the International World Health Organization. So that's the number two place where he needs to make right. What does it mean to make right there? He needs to come back to the table and believe that America is better off being part of the WHO leading than out of the World Health Organization. You realize that why we're talking of the WHO, it had some conflict with the way the pandemic coronavirus was managed and the information not being shared. So those are one of the two things which Biden on an international scale needs to do. Further, of course, there's also in Africa. But you realize that currently the pressure you have is actually to reduce foreign aid or reduce the people in Africa. So that goes contrary to what you hope for, you want to happen. I think that's the pressure which he has.